You ever drive past one of those massive construction sites and just wonder, how on earth does all of that come together? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret language of building. It's a system called MasterFormat, and it is the invisible framework that stops a billion-dollar project from turning into total chaos. I mean, really think about it for a second. How do you get thousands of people with millions of parts to build a skyscraper? How does the plumber on floor 3 know exactly what the architect in an office miles away specified? How does anyone even begin to calculate the cost? The answer, believe it or not, is a surprisingly simple and elegant system. And that system is MasterFormat. Now, the absolute best way to wrap your head around it is to think of it as the Dewey Decimal System, but for construction. Instead of organizing books in a library, it organizes every single thing, every material, every task, every specification you could possibly imagine into one universal standardized catalog. So what's the official word? Well, the folks who created it, the Construction Specifications Institute, or CSI, they put it like this. It's a standard list of numbers and titles for organizing all that written project information. But what does that really mean? It all boils down to two crucial words: organization and standardization. Okay, so it's a numbering system. Big deal, right? Well, actually, it's a huge deal. In the multi-trillion-dollar construction industry, a simple miscommunication can be a costly and sometimes even dangerous nightmare. MasterFormat is the tool that brings that critical order to the beautiful chaos of a modern job site. And when you have that kind of order, the benefits just ripple outwards. You get crystal clear communication because suddenly everyone is speaking the same language. You get incredible efficiency, whether you're putting together a project manual or a cost database. And it's not just for one phase, it's used from the very first design sketch all the way through to managing the building years later. And get this isn't some new, untested idea. This system has been tried, tested, and refined for over 55 years. Think about that for a second. That's more than half a century of the entire industry adopting it, improving it, and making it the absolute gold standard for construction projects all across North America. So we know why it's so important. But how does this whole library for buildings actually work? Let's take a look at the blueprint. Now, it might sound complicated, but the genius of it is its hierarchical structure, which is way simpler than you might think. It basically all breaks down into 3 main levels. Think of it like a funnel. At the very top, you have your groups, which are the biggest, broadest categories. Inside those, you have subgroups, collections of related work. And then you get to the level everyone uses the most, the divisions. This is where you find specific things like concrete or masonry or electrical work. You can really see here how that information just cascades down. It starts at that super broad group level, gets narrowed down into a subgroup, and finally lands in a very specific, detailed division. It's what takes a literal mountain of data and makes it perfectly manageable. All right, this is where it gets really fun. We've gone over the theory, but now we're going to get our hands dirty. We are going to decode the numbers themselves, and you're about to see just how intuitive this whole system is. Okay, let's take our first example. Imagine you're looking at a set of blueprints, and you see this number, 033113. To the untrained eye, it's just a random code, but it points to something very specific: heavyweight structural concrete. So how do we get there? Let's break it down, pair by pair. That first pair, 03, tells us we're in division 03, which is all about concrete. Simple enough. The next pair, 31, gets more specific. We're not just talking any concrete, we're talking structural concrete. And that final pair, 13, nails it down to the exact item, heavyweight. See that? Broad to specific to pinpoint accurate, all in 6 digits. Starting to make sense, right? Let's try another one. This time, we're moving to a totally different part of the building, the roof. You see the code 075216. What's that? Well, it's a very particular kind of roofing material. We use the exact same logic. 07 is the division for thermal and moisture protection. That makes sense for a roof. 52 tells us the section is modified bituminous membrane roofing, and 16 specifies the type, SBS modified. See, once you know the pattern, it's a piece of cake. All right, one more just to make you a pro. This time, let's step outside the building entirely and look at the landscaping. The code is 329232. You know the drill by now. 32 is the division for exterior improvements. 92 narrows it down to the section for turf and grasses. And 23 gives us the specific item, sodding. And just like that, in the last couple of minutes, you've learned to read the fundamental language of a construction plan. Pretty cool, right? So let's bring it all home. What's the ultimate takeaway here? What's the one thing to remember? It's that MasterFormat isn't just a list of numbers. It's the master key to unlocking clear communication and flawless organization on any construction project, no matter how big or how small. It's the common language that lets the architect, the engineer, the contractor, and the building owner all understand each other perfectly. It is the absolute backbone for organizing everything from project manuals to cost data. It lets you find critical information in seconds. And most importantly, it forges that unbreakable link between a line on a drawing and the detailed specs that bring it to life. It's there from day one of design all the way to managing the facility decades later. And really, this quote just says it all. It's not just about numbers. It is the very DNA of a project. It's the logic, the skeleton, that holds the whole complex process together and turns it into an orderly, actionable plan. So, I'll leave you with a final thought. Now that you've seen how a simple organizational key can decode the entire language of building, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other complex systems in our world are just out there waiting for us to find their hidden code and understand them?